Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. So it's being reported that female athletes are being told to be quiet regarding transgender athlete and weightlifter Laurel Hubbard, who can qualify and compete at this year's Olympic Games and will be the first trans athlete to do so. Don't forget to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this video out, and let's take a look. So here it is on 7news.com.au. Athletes told to, quote, be quiet about transgender weightlifter Laurel Hubbard ahead of Olympics tilt. Now, quick look at who Laurel Hubbard is. So, Kiwi weightlifter will make history by becoming the first transgender Olympian. This is a few days ago. Now, Laurel Hubbard did compete at previous tournaments, had a pretty bad injury on one lift. Thought it might have been a career ender, but it wasn't. So apparently Kiwi weightlifter Laurel Hubbard is set to make history at the Tokyo Olympics by becoming the first transgender athlete to compete at the Games. So while she has yet to be named by the New Zealand team, she would have to qualify. But under the qualification rules, which came into effect after several competitions were lost due to the COVID-19 pandemic, Hubbard will be guaranteed a spot at Tokyo if fit. So having looked at that, it says, former Olympic weightlifter Tracy Lambrex, who's a New Zealand weightlifter, says females are being told to be quiet when they complain about the fairness of transgender New Zealand athlete Laurel Hubbard competing in women's competitions. Hubbard is on track to become the first transgender athlete to compete at an Olympics after the International Weightlifting Federation modified qualifying requirements for the Tokyo Games on Wednesday. The 43-year-old still has to satisfy the New Zealand Olympic Committee of her fitness and performance standards before selection for the team, but the prospect she will compete in Tokyo has already raised hackles. From Lambrex, she says, I'm quite disappointed for the female athlete who will lose out on that spot because there's only going to be one athlete at a time now because you can only send, because of the rules, you can only send one athlete per event or something. Lambrex, who won a bronze medal for New Zealand at the 2018 Commonwealth Games, told TVNZ, we're all about equality for women in sport, but right now that equality is being taken away from us. She also says, I have had female weightlifters come up to me and say, what do we do? This isn't fair. What do we do? Unfortunately, there's nothing we can do because every time we voice it, we get told to be quiet. Hubbard, 43, competed in men's weightlifting competitions before transitioning in 2013. She has been eligible to compete in the Olympics since 2015 when the International Olympic Committee issued guidelines allowing any transgender athlete to compete as a woman provided their testosterone levels are below 10 nanomoles per liter for at least 12 months before first competition. And that's Hubbard there. Many scientists have criticized these guidelines, saying they do little to mitigate the biological advantages of those who have gone through puberty as males, including bone and muscle density. There are biological, physiological advantages that come with being a male that do get carried over after transition, and that is bone and muscle density. A couple of key factors in weightlifting as well. In a statement on Thursday, the IOC said that while committed to inclusion, it was currently reviewing its guidelines to take into account the perceived tension between fairness and safety and inclusion and non-discrimination. Perceived tension. No, you got female athletes saying it's not fair. And then you want to talk about discrimination. Well, you're discriminating against biological females from competing at the games when you just want to be promoting your virtue signal of a first transgender athlete ever in Olympic Games. The IOC is developing new guidance to help ensure that athletes, regardless of their gender identity and or sex characteristics, can engage in safe and fair competition. Well, they're the words there. Safe, yeah, well, she's had an injury and weightlifting is dangerous. And fair. You're taking away a medal position and a spot on a team that has limited numbers already from female athletes when you're giving it to this first transgender athlete, because it's a high likelihood that Hubbard will medal. She won a silver medal before already. So the exact criteria for transgender participation in elite sport is determined by the international federations, and some have already adjusted the IOC guidelines for power events. World Rugby banned transgender athletes from the elite women's game last year for safety reasons. So the New Zealand Olympic Committee does not expect nomination and selection for its weightlifting team to happen until June, but New Zealand's Olympic weightlifting coach Simon Kent told TVNZ that Hubbard met the current IWF criteria. He said, the rules are in place, that's the playing field we're playing in, so that's how we're going to move forward. And this happened back in 2018. Australia's Weightlifting Federation sought to block Hubbard from competing at the 2018 Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast, but organisers rejected the move. Rival weightlifters and coaches at the Commonwealth Games also complained. Hubbard suffered a potentially career-ending injury while lifting in the 90-plus kilo division. Yeah, on the lift, bent backwards, thought might have snapped, but she's back. Lambrex finished 5th in that event after winning bronze in the 75-plus kilo division. at the Glasgow Games 4 years earlier. She was 13th in the lower weight division at the 2016 Rio Olympics. So we now have biological females coming out against this first transgender athlete being in the Olympics this year, not just because she has a biological advantage from previously being a male before transitioning, but also the limited number of spots on the team are going to take away a spot from a biological female who could be medaling at that event or just even competing, because you want to put in your first transgender athlete at the Olympics for a virtue signal. Okay, so do you think Hubbard should be the first transgender athlete at the Olympic Games? What do you think about other female athletes coming out and speaking out against this because they're being told not to say anything? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Be sure to smash the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, share this one out, and I'll see you in the next one.